baka mamaya itong mga Chinese speaking individuals who are not really Filipinos, baka nagkalat na yung passport doon sa kanila, and before we know it, we are already being surrounded by operatives of maybe from People's Liberation Army or
Your subcommittee G is ready to present the budget for the Department of Foreign Affairs and its attached agencies. I will no longer read all the attached agencies and the budgets. Let this be placed in the record, and I'm ready to be interpolated by Senator Ronald De La Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Good Sponsor, Madam Chairman. I have only one question, and this pertains to the issuance of passport. Madam Sponsor, for the record, during one of our committee hearings, it was confirmed by the Bureau of Immigration and the National Bureau of Investigation that they were able to intercept about more than a dozen of Filipino passport holders who are obviously not Filipinos. And it was confirmed further that these passports were really authentic. So what made us alarmed is the fact that this involves national security. Dahil, Madam Gusponsor, baka mamaya itong mga Chinese speaking individuals who are not really Filipinos, baka nagkalat na yung passport doon sa kanila, and before we know it, we are already being surrounded by operatives of maybe from People's Liberation Army or whatever, whoever those people are. And talagang delikado yung sitwasyon natin kapag ito'y mapababayaan. Kasi tingnan mo, yung isang ordinaryong Pilipino ay hirap na hirap magkakaroon ng passport dahil nga in-schedule pa, maraming requirements. And itong isang Chinese na hindi Pilipino, nagtataka tayo, bakit napakadaling makakuha ng passport na gano'n na lang. So, just for the record, Madam Chair, gusto ko lang parating itong issue na ito. And I would like to inquire from you if this issue has reached the attention of DFA. May we know what are the actions that they have undertaken so far in response to this particular issue?
Thank
yes.
you. I appreciate Senator De La Rosa's intervention and question on this alleged issuance of Philippine passports to Chinese nationals. Yes, it is a national security issue. Yes, it should not be taken lightly, but also we should not allow that the budget of this department be held tonight as late as it is at 11:18. But I will answer your question first with the official statement of a DFA, and second, I will give you my personal feelings about it. First, the DFA is actively engaging law enforcement agencies in investigating the matter and in pursuing the filing of appropriate criminal charges against these foreign nationals who are able to obtain a Philippine passport. Second, the DFA notes that these foreign nationals pose themselves as Filipinos by assuming Filipino identities through the presentation of authentic and genuine PSA birth certificates with valid government-issued identification cards that are accepted for a passport application. Third, the DFA further notes that some of these foreign nationals pose themselves as persons with disability and presented authentic PWD IDs. In doing so, these individuals are escorted by their immediate family members and relatives during the passport application. Fourth, to address the cases of document and identity fraud, the DFA is working closely with the PSA for the integration of systems that will allow our frontliners to quickly validate the authenticity of PSA documents. And they are looking to sign into MOA with the PSA soonest to operationalize the foregoing. And fifth, the DFA highlights that it has engaged the Bureau of Immigration. I think part of your information came from the Bureau of Immigration as well, the National Bureau of Investigation. And these agencies must also look into themselves if part of the syndicates are into these agencies as well. The Philippine National Police, who had just left the hall tonight, and the Philippine Statistics Authority, who was here yesterday. All of these agencies must consult each other to strengthen the cooperation and discuss ways forward on how to prevent similar cases in the future. I am not happy with this, what I read. And I will state that, Mr. President. While these are diplomatic answers to your question, and they're valid, yes, they're looking into the way forward. But yes, I agree with you. And before we went into our formal session, we had this discussion. We will not let it pass. And I would welcome the resolution that Your Honor and Senator Tolentino will file to look at it through the Blue Ribbon Committee or other relevant government agencies, because it may not only be the Department of Foreign Affairs. Because to be able to secure authentic documents like a birth certificate and other requirements, it means that there are sources. I would no longer say the place where the Senate President mentioned that there could be possible sources in certain areas of the country. But my question to the agency, whose budget I am defending, is that I would like to know who is the head of the passport division? Who were the officers and staff during the time that these Chinese nationals applied for the passport, even assuming they applied as PWD with relatives, even assuming that they applied that they cannot speak good English, even assuming that they said that they could not speak in Filipino or English. Napakaliwanag na po para higit pa sa sikat ng araw kung si iba'y Pilipino na hindi lang marunong mag-Ingles o Pilipino at kung hindi naman Pilipino. Kaya nararapat lamang na alamin natin yung lugar, saan man nag-issue ng passport, yung oras, sino yung officer in charge, at sino mismo yung tao na nasa window, nasa desk na nag-issue po niyan. Siguro naman po, sang-ayon, sigurado ako, si Secretary Manalo, dahil ito'y napag-usapan natin bago tayo nag-session ngayon. So, for me, the way forward would be isang masusing investigasyon sa Department of Foreign Affairs. 2 araw pa lang nakakaupo ang head ng Passport Division, ASEC Adel Cruz. ASEC, right? ASEC Adel Cruz. I'm not pointing to the previous person who was in charge of this post, but we must look into the dates when it was issued, and you have it on record. And today's only Thursday. Perhaps we will give them till Monday at 12 noon to give us the list of those alleged Chinese nationals and who was in charge, and to ask the DFA personnel, why did you do that? Ganun kasimple ang tanongin. Sino ang head nun at sino ang nagbigay? At sabi nila, kasi po kompleto. May birth certificate, may PSA, may NBI clearance, etc. Aalamin din natin sa PSA, nakahapon ng pinasara natin ng budget, aalamin din natin sa BID at sa NBI. Tatawagan ko bukas ang head ng NBI tungkol dito. Maari na lahat ng mga ahensyang to ay may galamay sa mga kumuha ng mga authentic documents. It's not even fraudulent. These are authentic documents. That means there could be collusion of Filipinos. I'm not stating that with certainty because I only discovered this tonight from Your Honor. But I share your outrage that this happens kung ang ordinaryong Pilipino ay nahihirapan kumuha ng passport, pero ang Chinese nationals ay nakakuha hindi lang isa, hindi lang dalawa, kundi dose-dosena. Assuming totoo yung inyong report mula sa inyong hearing na galing nga sa DFA, kasi maaari din naman na mukha lang totoong passport pero hindi naman galing din sa DFA. Kaya I will withhold my rage and outrage, although it's very, very disappointing. I would be so incensed and disappointed if that came from the DFA. Having said that, I thank Your Honor for bringing it to our attention, because it is not a matter of just a passport. It is a national security issue, and right here in Metro Manila. So thank you, Your Honor.
Madam Sponsor, may we know if, as we speak right now, their investigation was able to pinpoint responsibilities, people responsible in the issuance of these passports, if meron na silang na-identify so far?
Within DFA.
Yan mo. October. Siguro.
NBI na budget for under DOJ.
With the
May mga news article din kami. May mga news article din na nakapag
Do I tell you the truth? Whether they say there's an investigation, but I'm not certain at what level the investigation is. They said that they are coordinating with the CIDG. Honestly, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not content with the answer. However, I will not hostage the budget of the DFA, an agency and a department I love dearly. And it is not the fault of this gentlemen and women here, but we will find out. And I request that the information on the duty officers at the time so that you can do your own internal investigation.
Yes, Madam Chair, for the record, that information came about during the committee budget hearing at the committee level of the DOJ budget. That was 9, October 9. So more or less 1 month ago,
Bakit?
Madam Chair. So I hope patuloy yung investigation.
If I may, to my distinguished colleagues,
Yes.
I also got a report, and I think Secretary should know this, that there was a town in Mindanao, particularly in Caraga, and I wouldn't want to divulge the town tonight, in fairness, so that we don't put them in a bad light until we find out the details. But accordingly, the NBI is already doing an ongoing investigation. That's why I don't want to name the town. But there's a town in Caraga which are giving out birth certificates, and they caught several Chinese nationals that speak no English, nor Tagalog, nor Bisaya. Okay lang sana kung Bisaya kasi taga Caraga don't speak Bisaya, that have been able to acquire birth certificates from this town. So nahuli ng NBI and they're looking at the syndicates involved. No? And then that's the Register of Deeds, I believe, of the town issuing birth certificates that they are from that town. And therefore from that birth certificate, obviously the next item on the agenda for these people will be a passport. So because they are now considered Filipino, having been able to acquire a birth certificate illegally. So I would like to move that with the permission of the majority floor leader, that the pertinent committees, for example, the Blue Ribbon Committee, as well as the committee of Senator Bato de la Rosa, Public Order Committee, take lead in coming up with a formal investigation on this, so that we look at the different aspects, not only from the DFA, but also from Philippine Statistics Authority, the Register of Deeds, Register of Deeds, yung register ng Civil Register, sorry, lupa pala Register of Deeds, Civil Register, Registrar of the towns involved, that was told to me by the NBI. And of course, we have to go to the bottom of this. Ako naman, tama po yung sinabi ni Senator Loren, siguro if the head of the passport division is here, is the lady or gentleman here?
The resolution which is referred to the two committees which you mentioned. And Mr. President, may I say that tomorrow, the DFA with the head of the passport division will do an internal investigation on who were the processors of the passport of the Chinese nationals. Secretary, that's in order, right? Okay.
Yes, and
President,
before,
if I-
yes, please,
I would just like to, again, first of all, I'd like to express my utmost disgust upon hearing this particular incident, Mr. President. Why? Because every single day I receive at least 10, 50 requests for assistance so that they be issued a Philippine passport, Mr. President. It's so easy, Mr. President, to accumulate all these requests every single day. And now you're hearing this, Mr. President. And upon the report a while ago, as read by the distinguished sponsor, that the initial investigation says that the documents were actually verified by the Philippine Statistics Authority, which we passed the budget yesterday, Mr. President. So I will actually move, Mr. President, that we reconsider their budget, Mr. President. And after,
maybe instead of reconsidering, we'll just wait for the hearing na lang, the investigative hearing.
PSA, Mr. President, we have,
We can invite part of my motion was to involve the PSA instead of calling them back, because I know they're busy with the GDP and growth rate discussions now. They're in the news earlier about the increase
Mr.
in the
President,
GDP.
if this is a national security concern, Mr. President.
Well,
I-
if it's the, if it's the,
I-
if it is the wish of the majority floor leader,
I
we can ask
just-
them to come back.
Yes, Mr. President. I think the minority leader agrees with with the, 1 minute suspension. May I ask for suspension?
No, no, I will not persist if,
Yeah.
the minority floor leader wishes to recall the budget of the PSA.
For the record, Mr. President, I join the idea and the motion of our majority leader.
Okay.
Pabalikin natin ng PSA. Actually, ang daming tanong. Kaya balik ulit tayo sa agricultural statistics. Kailangan natin balikan po yun. Ang dami. Ang daming problema talaga, Mr. President. So, well, pinalusot natin siya kahapon. But ito may bagong issue against PSA. I mean, it was really with
I
a
just
heavy
don't
heart.
want- With my apologies, minority leader, I just don't want to make it a precedence that we're going to keep asking agencies that we've already approved to come back. But this is a national security
This is-
issue.
This is
I
definitely.
just don't want it to be a precedent
Yes, Mr.
that we'll
President.
just keep asking the agencies to keep coming back.
We-
If we think